Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with coverage from Game 5 of the World Championship. White, Magnus Carlsen the champion, black, Carlsen-Karjakin the challenger. Game 5 played on the 17th of November 2016. 4 draws we had so far, and let's see what happened in this game. But e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and Carlsen did not repeat the bishop b5 that he had played in game 3, didn't repeat the Spanish, the Ruy Lopez, he played the Italian game. Bishop c5, castling, knight f6, d3, we are in the Gioco piano of the Italian opening. Castling, and Carlsen played a2, a4. Not the most common move, but it is a perfectly viable option. d6, c2, c3, and now white is threatening to win a piece. If black is not careful and plays a silly move like, for example, h6, just to show you the idea, then there's b2, b4, and the bishop can only go to b6. And then with a4, a5, white wins a piece. Of course, Karjakin did not fall for that, and he made, with a6, a flight square for the bishop. b4 came anyway, and the bishop could go to a7. Rook e1, and now Karjakin is rerouting his knight. He wants to go to g6 with that piece. Carlsen, knight bd2, developing his knight g6 as planned, and Carlsen played d3, d4. This is the first critical position of the game. Now black has to think of what setup he wants to use, and he decided on c7, c6, and after Carlsen played h3, Karjakin took in the center. E takes, c takes, and now a surprising move, knight takes e4. Not that surprising for players at the top level. It looks like white is just giving away that knight, black is just giving away that knight. Well, of course he is not, because if Carlsen would have taken, which is a perfectly okay move, then there is d6, d5, and because of the fork, black will win the piece back. Carlsen did not choose that option. He decided to take on f7. So it's a bit of a tactical few moves going on here. Bishop takes f7 check, so that piece has to be taken, and then take the piece on e4. And after d5, this knight can go to c5. So it was a bit of a tactical skirmish there, but the material is still the same. With this combination, a piece and a pair of pawns was exchanged. Now white has a very nice bishop, very nice knight, I have to say, on c5. Very strong piece. And black does not really want to take it, because then white will take back with the b pawn and will then have a clamp on the b7 and the c6 pawns from black. Karjakin was worried about a bishop or a knight coming to g5, so he played h6 to avoid that, to prevent that. And Carlsen played rook a3 with an idea to switch that rook to e3 and take control of the e-file. Bishop f5, and Carlsen could have played rook ae3, but he decided on knight e5. Another critical position coming up here. Karjakin took, and Carlsen chose the sharpest option. He took with the pawn. And now, as you can see, white has a 4 against 2 pawn formation on the king side, while black has a 4 against 2 formation on the queen side, so it becomes quite sharp now. After 26 minutes, Karjakin decided on queen h4, and Carlsen played rook f3. Now black has to be careful. He should not go pawn hunting with queen takes b4, because then there's bishop a3, queen go back, and then there's e6 attacking the rook. The rook has to keep protecting the bishop. Rook f6 and knight d7, and that's already winning material for white. So, as I said, black should not go pawn hunting. He didn't. He decided a very committal move. He decided to take on c5. As I said, that's not something that black really wants, but as Karjakin said afterwards, he didn't see anything better. B takes and rook e8. White has a pleasant advantage, but because of the bishops of the different color, white has a bishop of the dark squares and black has a bishop of the light squares. This is not so easy to win. Rook f4, queen e7, queen d4, rook ef8, rook f3, bishop e4, and a pair of rooks is traded. f3, bishop back, king h2, bishop e6, rook e2, queen g6. White's plan is to, one of White's plan is to play f4, g4 and f5 to set that pawn majority that he has on the king side in motion. And black will find it difficult to do the same with his pawn majority on the queen side. So white is playing for a win here. Black has to defend. Bishop e3. Carlsen is playing it very slowly, building it up nicely. Rook f7, rook f2, and now he can play his pawns up, his f and g pawns up the board. Queen b1. Black wants to make sure he can play g6 when white moves his pawns up. Rook b2, switching plan, kicking the queen. Queen f5, and here Carlsen played a5. His idea is to bring the rook to b4 and then maybe to f4, and for that he has to secure the b4 square, so he wanted to make sure black could not play a6, a5. Black is going to bring his king over to the queen side. Queen c3, king e8, and rook b4. Karjakin prevents the rook coming to f4 with the move g5. And Carlsen goes back to his other plan with rook b2. King d8, rook f2. Back to the original plan of pushing the kingside pawns. King c8, moving the king out of harm's way because there will be action on the king side. And the king can also protect that weak pawn on b7. Queen d4, queen g6, g4. Finally, Carlsen starts moving his pawns. But Karjakin counters with h5. Queen d2, because of h5 now the g5 pawn is under attack. Rook g7, defending that pawn. King g3 and rook g8, and this was the 40th move. Both players now got extra time, 50 minutes extra, and as often is the case on the 41st move a mistake is made. There's time to think and the player might relax a bit, and Carlsen came up with the lemon king g2, bad move. And why is it a bad move? Because he's allowing now some strong play from black on the king side. What he should have played was queen d4, and if then black tries to create some play on the h-file with h takes g4, h takes g4 and rook h8, then there's rook h2 and white neutralizes that pressure on the h-file. but not after the move that was played, king g2. Because now Karjakin took. Carlsen has to take back with the h-pawn. If he takes back with the f-pawn, then there's queen e4 and the queen is penetrating. Very unpleasant for white. So he took with the h-pawn and he had missed the move d4, a pawn sacrifice to activate his light squared bishop. Queen takes, and here Karjakin afterwards said that he should have played rook h8. For example, queen e4, queen h6, king f1 to avoid being checkmated, queen h1 check, king e2, rook d8, and as Karjakin said, there may be a defense for white, but it is very tricky. It's very unpleasant for white to play this. Winning chances for black, practical winning chances. But instead of rook h8, he played bishop d5 here. Looks also good, that's why he sacrificed a pawn to make that square and diagonal available for the bishop. But Carlsen found a way out. He sacrifices a pawn back to be able to centralize his queen. The queen is now protecting the h8 square, and if Karjakin had tried to make something happen on the h-file, for example queen h7, queen e5, rook h8, then Carlsen could have played rook f1 and both the h2 and the h1 squares are covered. So there is no more danger. This should end in a draw. So Karjakin decided to take on e6, king z3, queen e7, rook h2, queen f7, and the game petered out to a draw. f4, g takes, queen e7, rook h5, rook f8, attacking the queen, and white counterattacks black's queen. Queens are swapped, and after rook e4 a draw was agreed. The rooks will go off the board as well, and then we have a drawn bishop ending, bishop of opposite colors. Interesting fight, Carlsen with an opening advantage and then making a mistake on the 41st move, and Karjakin counter-attacking, missing a chance to make it really difficult for white, and then in the end the game was drawn. Say about it, Carlsen said, well, he was asked the question, did you play badly or did your opponent play well? I don't know, was his answer. He was not very happy at all, Magnus Carlsen, after this game. In the press conference he said, I thought I was better and screwed up and was lucky not to lose. And there's nothing to explain. I'm better and he has no plan. Maybe it's a draw, but it's better for white. And then he mentioned that king g2 was a huge blunder. King was in a much better mood. He said, I'm happy that today I finally had a good position. First he was better, he had different options. About 20 bishop takes c5, he says, I didn't see what else I could do. Then I had the feeling I was much better at some point, but the position was very tricky and I didn't manage to find the right moves. It was a very interesting game, but I'm unhappy that I didn't make use of a very promising position. Magnus should not have allowed 42 d4, and after 43 queen d4 the critical move was rook h8, but then I started to calculate bishop d5, and after rook h8 I don't know if white has a defense. This is a picture from the press conference and it's very clear who was the happier of the two. 5 games played, 5 draws. The next 2 games Karjakin will be white. Let's see what happens. I hope you enjoyed this summary of game 5, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment if you want. This is Rick from Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.